There is a rule that separates respected men from replaceable ones. It is rarely spoken about. It is never advertised, but it is always observed. Smart men follow it instinctively. Average men break it daily. Here is the rule. Never reveal your full emotional state in real time. That's it. Not because you're hiding, not because you're cold, but because timing is power. Most men lose influence the moment they try to defend it. They react too quickly. They explain too much. They correct too eagerly. They argue when silence would have elevated them. And they think they're being strong. They're not. They're being readable. And once you're readable, you're predictable. And once you're predictable, you're manageable. Let's break this down carefully. When someone criticizes you in a meeting, what do most men do? They jump in immediately. They clarify. They justify. They defend. Their voice speeds up. Their breathing changes. Their tone sharpens. And in that moment, they reveal three things: what triggers them, what they fear losing, and how badly they need approval. They think they're protecting their position, but they're exposing their pressure points. Now imagine a different response. You listen. You take a breath. You pause, not awkwardly, not dramatically, just calmly. You let the room sit for a second. Then you respond slowly, precisely, focused only on the outcome. No defensive energy. No emotional spikes. No unnecessary explanation. The energy in the room shifts, because humans don't just hear words. They read nervous systems. Your composure communicates more than your argument ever could. The man who reacts instantly appears affected. The man who pauses appears grounded. Grounded men feel dangerous in the right way. They feel stable, and stability commands respect, not because it's loud, but because it's rare. This is not about suppressing emotion. It's about containing it. Feel everything, reveal selectively. That is the silent power rule. Now let's take it into negotiation. This rule becomes surgical. If you show disappointment immediately, you expose your dependence. If you show excitement immediately, you expose your attachment. If you show frustration immediately, you expose your weakness. Every visible spike in emotion becomes leverage for the other side. But if you stay neutral, you force the other side to keep talking. Silence creates tension. Tension creates information. Information creates leverage. Most men cannot tolerate silence. They rush to fill it. They reveal concessions before they're asked. They negotiate against themselves. The man who speaks less learns more. The man who learns more decides better. And the man who decides better wins more often, without ever raising his voice. Let's go deeper. There's a psychological principle at play here. Humans assign status based on emotional regulation. We instinctively categorize people by how controlled they appear under stress. When tension rises, we subconsciously scan for the most stable nervous system in the room. That person becomes the reference point. Higher status individuals appear less reactive, not because they don't care, but because they control timing. If you react to everything, you look controlled by everything. If you choose when to respond, you look in control of yourself. And self-control is the foundation of external control. Without internal regulation, influence collapses. Now bring this into relationships. Your partner expresses frustration. Most men defend themselves instantly. They interrupt. They counter. They escalate. The conversation stops being about resolution. It becomes about ego, about who's right, about who wins the exchange. And once ego enters the room, connection leaves it. The smart man does something different. He listens fully. He doesn't rush to fix. He doesn't rush to protect ego. He doesn't rush to correct perception. He allows the emotional wave to crest and fall. Then he responds with clarity instead of heat. He addresses the issue, not his pride. That's not weakness. That's command over self. And command over self is the rarest form of strength. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Emotional immediacy feels powerful. It feels bold to say it like it is. It feels authentic to express everything instantly. But instant expression is often impulsive expression. And impulsive expression weakens positioning. Satisfaction is short-term. Authority is long-term. The silent power rule sacrifices short-term emotional relief for long-term strategic advantage. It's not passive, it's discipline. It's not about being quiet all the time. It's about being precise with expression. There's a difference. When you reveal your emotions too quickly, you lose narrative control. When you delay reaction, you observe patterns. You see who interrupts, who escalates, who manipulates, who seeks validation, who folds under silence. You gather behavioral data while others burn emotional energy. That's strategic positioning. Silence becomes your diagnostic tool. Now understand this clearly. Silence born of fear shrinks you. Silence born of calculation expands you. One avoids conflict, the other prepares for it. One is insecurity, the other is confidence. You must know which one you're practicing. At first, restraint feels uncomfortable. You'll want to correct every misunderstanding. You'll want to defend your name immediately. You'll want instant validation. You'll want closure, but urgency exposes insecurity. Calm exposure reveals confidence. If someone disrespects you publicly, reacting emotionally gives them control over your internal state. They now know how to move you. Responding later privately, precisely, gives you structural power. You choose venue. You choose timing. You choose tone. Timing changes impact. Tone changes perception. Delivery changes hierarchy. The silent power rule operates on one core idea. Power is not in expression, it's in regulation. Smart men don't react to provoke. They respond to position. They don't argue to win. They engage to achieve outcomes. They don't overshare to bond. They reveal strategically to build trust. And here's something most men don't understand. Mystery increases perceived depth. When you explain yourself constantly, you lower intrigue. When you defend yourself excessively, you signal doubt. When you narrate your every thought, you remove tension. And tension in healthy amounts creates gravity. When you speak less, your words gain weight. When you don't explain yourself constantly, your explanations carry authority. When you don't react to every jab, people become careful with their next move. Because unpredictability combined with calm is intimidating in a subtle way. Not aggressive, not loud, just stable. And stability unsettles chaotic personalities. It exposes them. There are two types of men: men who vent, and men who calculate, men who defend ego, and men who defend position, men who chase validation, and men who build leverage. The difference is not intelligence, it's regulation. The silent power rule forces you to ask one question before speaking. What outcome do I want? Not, how do I feel right now? Because how you feel in the moment is temporary, but the impression you create can be permanent. Your reputation forms in small reactions, in micro moments, in seconds. Imagine walking into every room knowing that nothing can provoke an uncontrolled reaction from you. No insult, no pressure, no emotional bait, no passive-aggressive comment, no attempt to undermine you. You feel it, but you don't leak it. That kind of man doesn't need to assert dominance. His composure does it for him. People sense they cannot move him easily, and what cannot be moved easily becomes respected. This doesn't mean you never express emotion. It means you choose when, you choose where, you choose how much, you choose why. You don't eliminate emotion, you master its timing. And choice is power. The world is full of reactive men. Reactive men are easy to predict. Predictable men are easy to manage. But the man who observes first and speaks second, he becomes difficult to move. And difficult to move men become anchors in volatile environments. In chaos, people look for stability. If you are stable, you become central. If you are reactive, you become background noise. Here's something else most men miss. The less you need immediate validation, the more authority you project. The less you rush to correct perception, the stronger your perception becomes. The less you fight for dominance, the more it naturally accumulates. Because true power is gravitational. It doesn't chase, it attracts. The silent power rule is not flashy. It doesn't create dramatic moments. It creates steady influence. Over time, in rooms, across years. It builds a reputation that says, he cannot be rattled. He cannot be baited. He cannot be rushed. And that reputation changes how people approach you. They speak differently. They negotiate differently. They test you less because they know you won't break frame. Now here's your test. For the next 7 days, practice this rule deliberately. When criticized, pause. When praised, stay neutral. When challenged, ask questions before answering. When tempted to overshare, reduce by half. When emotionally elevated, delay response. Watch how people adjust to you. Watch how conversations slow down. Watch how your presence gains weight. Watch how interruptions decrease. Watch how negotiations stretch in your favor. Watch how emotional chaos loses power around you. This is not magic, it's regulation. The silent power rule is simple: feel everything, reveal strategically, react rarely, respond deliberately, build composure, protect timing, control disclosure. Because real power isn't loud, it's regulated, and smart men never break that rule.